ஊருக்கு கொடுத்துக்கலாம் மேம். கேக்குதான்னு செக் பண்ணோம். ஒரே நிமிஷம் மேம். Ma'am, am I hearing, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணிட்டேன் மேம்கிட்ட கேளு. இந்த ஃபேனை கொஞ்சம் அதை ஆஃப் பண்ணேன்.
ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணிக்கலாம். வெயிட் பண்ணுங்க, இன்னும் சீஃப் கெஸ்ட் வந்துட்டாங்களா பாருங்க.
டோரை க்ளோஸ் பண்ணிடுங்க நல்லா. முனீஸ்வரன் அனுப்ப சொல்லுங்க. அப்ப எம்டிஎஸ் கூப்பிடுங்களேன். அவங்க எம்டிஎஸ் கரிகாலன். இல்ல கரிகாலன் இல்ல. அங்க மேமோட சியூஜில இருக்கு. Hi everybody. A warm good evening to all. Happy Women's Day to all. It's my pleasure to be a moderator for this webinar. I am Professor Ponmani Promo, Sree, Abirami College of Nursing. I would like to thank our management, board of directors, viewers, and technical people for their support. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you on behalf of Sree Abirami institutions. I am very much honored to welcome our eminent speaker, Professor N. Manimekalai, Social Sciences Director and Head, Department of Women's Studies, Bharathidasan University, Tiruchirapalli. Welcome you, ma'am. I would like to welcome our chairman, our managing director, and board of directors to this webinar. Welcome you all. And I would like to welcome our principal, Dr. Jansi Helena, ma'am, and our vice principal, Dr. Irene Mercy, ma'am, and all the faculties and all the principals from other colleges. Welcome you all. I welcome all the participants from various colleges. We appreciate you taking time off from your busy schedule to join us today for this special presentation. A beautiful woman draws strength from troubles, smiles during distress, and grows stronger with prayers, and hope you are one of them. Today, when we celebrate the world's one of the best day, which is equally proud and valuable to being a woman and to being having a woman in your life once. One of the greater inspiration of young women, Malala Yousafzai, said that I raise up my voice not so that I can shout, but so that those without a voice can be heard. We cannot all succeed when half of us are held back. A nation's progress and success doesn't start with the eradication of poverty or building a political party, but it starts with the acceptance that women are equally important as men, and realizing that when you educate a man, you're educating only one man. But when you educate a woman, you're educating a generation, and let this Women's Day bring an awareness that gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow. Now, may I request Dr. Jansi Helena ma'am, our principal, to open up the session with introduction of speaker.
Thank you, Ponmani. Good afternoon, one and all gathered here. I welcome all the participants who's joined over here. I especially welcome Dr. Manimekalai ma'am. Just brief introductions I wanted to give over here. Professor Dr. N. Manimekalai ma'am has completed MA PhD. She's got teaching experience in 26 years and research experience of 31 years. She's a founder, director, and head Department of Women's Studies, Bharathidasan University, Tiruchirapalli. She served and serving various capacities as a Dean of Arts and Senate member and chaired world-class curriculum development of social sciences. So she's got 31 years of teaching experience and research experiences in economics, women's gender studies, management, etc. And 18 PhD awarded in economics, women's studies, and management disciplines with her supervisions, and more than 50 MPhil programs in Bharathidasan University, Mother Teresa University, and Karunya universities. So many programs she has organized, and she has been the leader, and she has served various capacities in different areas, and she's member of UGC, and she's published many research journals, and so many she has done. So without much wasting the time, I would like to hand over the session to Madam Dr. Manimekalai ma'am. Please take over the session, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Helena, for inviting me. The respected principal and the students and faculty colleagues of the college, Abirami College of Nursing, warm greetings to all on this Women's Day. Wish you all the all happy Women's Day. And indeed, there is always a question whether this Women's Day is to be celebrated or observed. It is actually in the initial period when we fought for women's rights way back 100 years back and century back, or more than a century back, women who were working in the factories, particularly the textile and garment factories there in America and other Western countries, they were fighting for equal wage, their women's rights in the public places, and particularly for the 8 hours of work. So they wanted to have 8 hours of work because they were either given 14 hours work or 18 hours work, 12 hours of work. And having toiled yourself in this factory, particularly women's work in the factory system commenced only after the Industrial Revolution happened in 1857. And since then they were working, and there were no formal regulation in terms of working conditions and workplace ethics to be followed, etc. And therefore what they did was they were fighting for that. So in the process, people were walking on the very hot sun and the New York roads, and some of them had to fight and fast, etc. And because of the hot sun, the sponge you had, that cotton you had there in the factories got fired, and therefore many women lost their lives. So when Clara Zetkin, being the president of the Socialist Congress, it was held in 1901 at Copenhagen, she gave a clarion call to many people across the country, globe, to declare March 8th as the Women's Day, and that too Working Women's Day. Because these women who were working in the factories were fighting against. Because when you come to Bharathidasan University, we call it as International Working Women's Day. It is not simply International Women's Day, because that is what it was originated. It was later called as Women's Day or International Women's Day, such a different thing. But originally, it was Working Women's Day. And it is also giving other controversial questions. Even it was there in our meeting in the morning. Do you want to say that others are not working? No, everybody is working. And the context in which this particular day was declared was particularly among the women who fought against the injustices happening in the factories, and therefore it was Working Women's Day, because people who worked in factories lost their lives, sacrificed their lives, and therefore it had to be referred to as Working Women's Day. Now it is called, and the paradoxical issue is that in those days it was against the capitalists you fought and you were claiming that there is no right to work. I mean, there is no equality right, no equal wages are being offered, and no break in the working hours. You continuously exploit the women workers for more than 10 hours, 12 hours, and you are not paying attention to their health or the very requirement, physical cooperation that is required to deliver the work. You are not bothered about whether the women are able to deliver or not, but you continue to. And in order to address these issues, which were very much bothering the women, the Women's Day was declared, and of course they had got. I mean, they fought, and that day was declared as Women's Day, and you successfully got the 8 hours of work and equal wage to certain, at least in certain areas, and later on other issues like the equal remuneration, and one more thing is the voting rights. All those things were also slowly got sanctioned, and therefore it was um, it's not just like you declare this way as Women's Day. Okay, so please understand the history of the Women's Day, how it originated, and who are the people, who were the people behind it, and are were their conditions the same like we experience now, or it was different? Yes, they were all different, and people were working for long hours, and they were hardly paid they paid very low wages or hardly paid any wages, because many a time you exploit, the companies exploit without paying anything. So in that context, what I would like to underline, that you have to understand the history of Women's Day before understanding what is the theme of the Women's Day. So today, every year UN shares a theme, and this year it is the sustainable development for the empowering women and girls for the sustainable tomorrow. So gender equality for sustainable tomorrow. So gender equality, is it real? Is it a reality? Is it possible to ensure achieve gender equality in the society? You have the men and women born in the same house, but women are being discriminated on certain aspects, men are being discriminated on other aspects, and therefore is it possible to ensure gender equality? And if gender equality is ensured, then you will definitely have a sustainable tomorrow. Sustainable development is we are talking about the sustainable development goals, and it is like completely doing away with poverty, hunger, ensuring universalization of education, ensuring universalization of health, and making the water and air clean, pollution free environment, and provide decent working conditions, whatnot. So there are 17 sustainable goals with specified target of 169 targets. So each goal has 6 to 7 to 15 targets set. The most prioritized targets will be first and followed by second, third, fourth, etc. So what I am trying to say is that this sustainable feature is required. It is very much required. And gender equality would certainly be positively contributing. There is no doubt. But is it possible? That is a question. And if this is a question, why? Because there are more than the economic or any quantifiable issues that you can say that this is what it is. You attribute something to other issue. So, for example, is it possible to unearth the kind of social expectations in the society about men and women? Men are expected to be the breadwinner of the family. Women are expected to be the caregivers. And is it possible to break this too? Don't connect the what I should say, the biological role of women to the kind of social construction that you have. It is something different. Social constructions, gender. So gender is something that the society imposes on men and women to a kind of making them to confine to certain spaces, and therefore you have gender division of space. You have gender, for example, this is the place where men can occupy. If women go and occupy, then you will say, why a woman is here? For example, the taskmaster shops, only men can do. And if it happens so that some women also go and buy drinks and come outside or there itself they drink there itself, will it be accepted or will it be just left as it is? No, it won't. This is an extreme example. There are other spaces, like you are getting one in the morning, everybody must have watched, you are getting both the paper coming in the urban context at least, and the milk packet also will be there. You are sending a child to pick up the milk packet and the newspaper, and this is only a 1-year-old or 2-year-old child, either male or female. The child goes and picks up these two, and the question is, where will the paper be go? To whom the paper will be given? To whom the newspaper will be given? Can anyone just throw some light on that? To whom this paper will be going? Anyone can unmute and talk. And with the child, it is only 3-4 years old. Will she be giving this to mother or father? This is the question. Okay, this is online, so it's very difficult to get your answer. So let me throw some light on this particular. This is gender. You are talking about gender equality, ensuring gender equality. Where is the question of ensuring gender equality when these things, the values associated with gender, do not change? So, for example, what I feel is that when the milk packet comes, the milk packet will be given given to the mother, the newspaper to the father. So it is followed. We never taught that child to go and give this to mother and father. It just observes every day. The child observes what is who is boiling the milk, who is reading the paper, and therefore it is just giving the paper to the father and giving the milk packet to the mother. In case you should have made the child get confused. She or he should have, whom to give the paper, whom to give the milk packet. If that is the question, you should have demonstrated. Our parents, nor parents including me, or you, in your future, if at least the generation which has gone cannot be, but the generation which is going to be, like you people will become parents in future, there you can demonstrate. That paper, you have to sit and read the paper, being girls, being working woman. It is not that you have additional work and therefore you don't find time to read paper. So you have to demonstrate to your child. Therefore, that child will also, whether girl or a boy, she or he will be involved in all the kind of the work. But unfortunately, we are not demonstrating. So first and foremost, that we need to do to ensure gender equality is to convey and communicate a message that there is nothing of any sort of work or task or any kind of quality that it is feminine, it is masculine, it is a feminine task and this is masculine task. No, everything can be done with, except the biological role, where women only can be pregnant, women only can menstruate, women only can give birth to child, women only can breastfeed. These are the 4 aspects that women only can do. Don't confuse this biological role to a sociological role or socially constructed role or socially defined role. Socially defined role is in a way communicating that these are the kind of work where for years together, centuries together, men were doing, and therefore let them do. And these were the kind of work the women were doing for centuries together, so let them do. But things are not, the roles are changing, not values. Is that 100 years back, the women were all going out and doing IAS, IPS and space research and flying and go to space and do research? No. Did you see 100 years back the women into Air Force? Did you see women into the defense sector? Did you see women as entrepreneurs in a big scale and stocking? So did you see media covering both women directors, women reporters? No. These are all recent phenomenon. But it is at the same time, it is a day to be celebrated where you have women represented in all these areas. So when that is happening, it is high time that the changes should be there, the values also. The roles are changing, where hitherto the women, they were all the domains of men, but now women also started occupying those places. That's what I have just mentioned, the defense or the air force, space research or entrepreneurship or even politics also. Because I was just saying in the beginning that we had to fight for the voting rights. So the entire election process was handled only by men till late 90s. And only recently, all the countries in the world, till certain times, at least 50s, even the Western countries, the so-called developed countries, did not give voting rights to, including France, to women. So what does it mean? If it is politics, it is even men only. Women did not have, and because why I'm saying, because for voting rights you have to fight, and now you are contesting, and recently you have got 50% in the local body election, both urban and rural, and therefore things are changing. And it is also that the uh, field in which the women were not found could be found now, and so the changing role is taking place. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can list what are the areas where women were completely absent and now women are being found. And therefore, gender equality, in a way, in terms of one area, I can say that these are the areas in which women were not there, but now women are there. So that is also one of the areas where equality is taking place. But unfortunately, as I said earlier, you have to demonstrate how many of you are really venture into certain areas to break the barriers, to break the stereotyping that no, these are the areas where one can also provided a chance is being given, an opportunity is being given. But there are a number of constraints. For example, I'm in a family. I want to do this, which a kind of work which hitherto the men only were doing. Women never did it, but still I want to do it. Will the family or relatives or the state or the market, will they allow me to engage in? For example, recently the Olympic sports was happening. You could understand that it was the women who brought more medals than the men. Both men and were participating in different games and sports. Some contributed, but those who brought more medals were women, including the tribal women. So, given an opportunity to trial women, given an opportunity to a woman, they prove themselves in those fields which are hitherto not touched by the women at all. So, it is possible, and why you are not giving an opportunity? That is a question. But even otherwise, women, they did not simply stay calm that okay, I'm not being given opportunity, so let me stay. No, they started fighting, and thanks to the women's movement, thanks to the women's organizations, only because of these organizations who fought for that, we could get some support or the other, and now things are improving and progressing. We did have a kind of what I should say, system of sati, system of widow harassment, system of child marriages, system of child laborers. All these were all so deep rooted in our culture. You know, in Rajasthan and other northern parts of India, you would observe that including in Tamil Nadu also, like the child marriage. Child marriage means it is not 17-year-old child. No, 5-year-old child and both girl and boy will get married off. And the worst issue is that if the girl, only 5-year-old girl must have got another 7-year or 8-year-old boy, and in case the boy dies there in the very early age of 8 or 9, this baby, I should say, this baby should remain as widow forever. This was the sorry state of affair in the original historical context. Then later you had not only that, many a time why sati is being followed. See, the husband is no more, the wife will also go and set fire herself, and it was called udan padakattai. So that system of sati was also prevalent. Every death of the husband, it will also take the life of the wife. That was the practice. that we were, our foremothers and forefathers were experiencing these kind of situations. See how progressed we are now, how much progressed we are now. So much, I mean, a kind of the issue, the system. Followed by that, in case, why widow harassment? Why sati? Even some of them were attributing sati system for this kind of widow harassment, because having lost your husband, if you survive, you won't be spared to completely I mean, take the life so easily with all signs of support system. No, you will be harassed to the extent of everything, wearing a dress, eating the food. You should not eat spicy food. You should not wear colorful dresses. You should not wear flowers. You should not wear bangles. And all the time you have to confine to a private space, not exposing yourself. Things are changing, but I'm talking about the early context. So people, what they did was, particularly in the upper caste communities, they felt, oh, instead of facing all these harassment in the name of a widow right from your childhood, let me give up my life along with my husband. So that is what the system of sati also existed, and it was justified. And even if you are spared not to go, if you are not interested in self-immolating yourself there with the fire of your partner, the spouse, you won't be spared there in the society, because there are a lot of issues to be faced by the widow. So widow harassment was also prevalent. Child marriage, that's what I said. Child labor also. And major, another 1974, you had the Towards Equality report. That is nothing but the kind of a report which was released based on the study conducted by a group of women activists, people associated with the women movement, like Veena Mazumdar, Meera Desai, Madhuri Shah, and so many other people who were associated, Devaki Jain, etc. Devaki Jain is still alive. And they underlined that this particular, based on this particular report, because that was the time the Women Empowerment Year 1975 was declared, and the Committee on Status of Women meeting was held. For that, they were asked to give a status report in every country. And that was the period where India was also preparing a report. So for the first time in the independent India in 1974, maybe 73 they would have ordered, and 74 we had a status report of women in, status of women in India. That is what called it as Towards Equality report. That particular report was really an eye opener, where 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of issues were discussed. As I was telling, the sati system of sati, infanticide. You don't want the girl child, and therefore once the girl child is born, you kill her. And the child marriages, and the kind of widow harassment after the death of the husband, all these were very well brought out. And economic, poverty, how poverty, and when poverty is there, it is connected with the nutrition and health also. So the poverty ridden household may not be ensuring proper nutrition and health for the children. And there were gender inequalities, like girl babies will be supported with limited food and nutrition, whereas boy babies will be supported sufficiently. And where does it come from? Because there is a social construction that the women will be married off and settled in another family, whereas boys or the men will be staying back the same family. That is what it is called patrilocal marriages. So wherever the bridegroom stays, the bride will move. Therefore, this kind of division in the society in terms of the marriage, marital norms, cultural norms, in a way disconnect the relationship with the parents, whatever the kind of support system you have. But still, for example, I used to give an example. A tree, when you raise up a tree, right from the plant stage, you must have raised the tree. After 20 years, it has grown like a big tree, large tree, expanded with branches, etc. And the tree will be there forever. You can't even go and unearth. If at all, if you want to unearth, then it is difficult to uh, take it with the root and fix it in another place. But these women who were all there with the parents for 20 years, 25 years, just like that, accept the marriage, party local marriage, and shift themselves to other families. So, in a way, this is a kind of a system in which it is difficult for women to say no, but the system, what the system does is that since the boys will be staying back, all investment will go on boys. All kind of positive approach, positive development, etc., will be focused on boys because they will be staying here and they are the future insurance, they are the breadwinner of the family, etc. Whereas boys, girls will go away. So you invest less on their education, you invest less on their nutrition, you list less on their education, etc. So there will be kind of a quality difference, I should say. What kind of a strong body that the men, whereas how puny the women, because they are anemic. They don't properly take food. It is estimated by the government of Tamil India that there will be whenever any test is being done for checking the anemic status, it is 95% of girls. If you conduct a blood donation camp, I'm afraid how many of them will really qualify to become the donors of blood. Because these women themselves, girls themselves, whether it is upper income group or lower income or middle income group, they suffer with what I should say, the kind of anemia. So why this? Because of the low nutrition and health status that is accorded already. Either in the upper income group, it might be like it is more of what I should say, the dieting. The girls in the upper income group, they diet themselves not to take all food which they feel that it will add to their weight. That we are not bothered. It is up to their choice. But there are families where the girls are really suffering without any even single square meal a day. They can't even take one square meal a day. And therefore, what is actually happening is that these girls are the women who are in the lowest income groups, often sacrifice their food, often sacrifice their nutritious food, and therefore food security, ensuring food security itself is a problem, and therefore where is the question of these things? And therefore, what is actually happening as a result of this? What actually happens is that they do not really able to gain. That is why the anonymity, 95% of the women, and they are not able to be healthy, and therefore, and first is when the poverty is there. At least leave alone the 10% of the population who has everything, but the girls are dying. And boys also have equally the pressures. It is not the girls alone face all these harassment, all these atrocities in their life. No, boys also. Boys, the society has imposed them to be the breadwinner of the family. So what does it mean? They are the breadwinner in the sense they are going to contribute for the future life of the parents or the present requirement of the economic requirement of the family. And therefore, everybody understands that father is important, father is going to support this family economically, mother will only look after the what we call care economy, quote unquote. She will only prepare the household activities, and it is not going to be paid, and therefore it doesn't have any value. It is highly invisible. And therefore, what is happening is that the kind of work that the women deliver is not respected as or recognized as work. Whereas the work that the men deliver, the same kind of work, whether it is kind of home or housekeeping, the same housekeeping is done by the women here at the household context. Same if it is done at the hotel, it will be the men. So they'll be drawing salary. So it is not that the paid and unpaid work category, the most of the unpaid work are with women, and therefore incidentally push them into invisibility. And moreover, science has also defined that work is something which could be counted as work only when it is quote unquote productive. What do you mean by that? All the work that the mother does or any woman member does at home is not considered as productive work. So how insulting it is for every woman in the society that they have been doing so much. Without them, the family cannot sustain, but still you say that women are not working. And she is only fetching water, she is only collecting fuel wood, she is only engaged in community role, she is only working in the agriculture field, but they are not work. They don't work. So this perception of not considering the work contributions of women should be given up, and that also will lead to in gender equality. So it is not that the gender equality can be ensured in a quantifiable or quantitative terms alone. Like, okay, you stop all the early marriages. Okay, there is no marriages. Or all the boys and girls. Recently, there was a debate whether you had participated or not. I don't know. Debate in the sense it was all conducted by various organizations. So whether 21 years of age, you all must have read in the paper that the girls' marriage age also will be increased to 21. Now it was prevailing only for the men. And so when a survey was conducted, whether they can, it can be conducted there in the, whether it has to be 21 years, people were of different opinions of them. Very surface level, okay, good, because these girls will go to work and they will enjoy their status as girl or woman for some time. After that, they can marry it off. Okay. But unfortunately, what was not expected is that no, these girls who are not working, who are rather fail to register, to sorry, was a call. So they, when they are not working and it is not paid, then it won't be considered as work, whatever the kind of work you do. But if you impute value for that, in economics we call it as opportunity cost. When you do, for example, I am hiring the services of a woman to attend the household activities, I am paying rupees 5,000 per minute. So if this maid is not hired, the kind of work that the woman does will be equivalent to 5,000. So she is earning 5,000 for that. I'm talking about only kitchen work. There are other kind of work. Women go to the field, agriculture field. The woman will be preparing everything at home and take the food for the people who are working in the field, and will also organize the women laborers drawing from different fields, because it is difficult also to get women workers here, workers in general. And she will also have a rapport built with all the women workers, and make them work, increase the productivity, etc., by means of interacting with them and helping them. Like, she will also go and work there as a wage laborer, leave alone the urban context. I'm talking about the rural area. So we are so concerned with these kind of in the stereotype, that is, the women cannot work or men cannot work, should be given. And there are number of areas in which the differences exist. The discrimination provides. Historically, I said the female infanticide and female feticide. This is one of the important area where there are differences. 1 second, sorry. So this infanticide is gone. Now it is the feticide. So in the feticide, they will be using this ultrasound sound scanning system, wherein you have the machine called amniocentesis, and that was actually invented by the people to what I should say, to find out whether the baby girl and baby boy are, or whatever, the baby is okay. Both mother and the baby are okay. But unfortunately, it is being misused to find out the sex of the child. And therefore, what is happening is that in almost all over India, this is happening. In the beginning, when it came in 1960s or 70s, in Maharashtra hospitals, you can see posters like this. You spend rupees 500 now, save rupees 50,000 later. What do you mean by that? 500 is if you spend in aborting the child, if it happens to be a female baby. you will be saving 50,000 rupees in future because you have to pay for her marriage, dowry, etc. So this was the kind of propagation that the people were, particularly the private, the market were providing the and that is followed. So it is very difficult, very important that the sex ratio must be improved, because if recently in TamilNadu, hope you must have read in the paper that the decline, there is a decline in the sex ratio further down to 800 and odd. It was 950 something as per the 2011 census, but a recent National Family Health Survey revealed that it is below the 100. And this may be happening in certain packets, but still it is happening. So the girl babies are still not wanted as their babies. So this is the crux of the problem. When the girl baby is denied to have the right to be born, what is the world in which we are living? She is not even given an opportunity to give birth to. Rather, you will be focusing on other areas. So nutrition and health is an important area, followed by that literacy, many and occupation also. Many women just get stopped or drop out of girls occurs right from the school final or 8th class or 5th class. Those who are stopping the girls in the 5th class will definitely take them to child marriage, child laborers, and also subsequently to child marriages. They may be waiting when this girl will attain property and puberty. The moment she attains, she will be arranged for the marriage, because it is quite difficult for the parents to get along with the unmarried girls. And occupation or employment. So many of them are employed. What is the economic participation rate of women, etc., etc. If you see, it is all more of what I should say, girls into kind of informal, or women into informal employment. Whereas the participation in work or paid work is only recently, of course, 23% was that till 2020. Before that was 27%. Long back it was all still higher. But for the past 2.5 years, so 2.5 decades, that is 25 years together, this has been not happening. There is a decline in employment of women. There is a kind of there is a decline in the employment, but also not only that, there is also a kind of participation in decision making position is very, very low. So what I am trying to say is that there are number of areas I have already pointed out, that it is the very sex ratio, and nutrition and education, occupation, literacy and education, nutrition and health, occupation and employment, and followed by that the kind of participation decision making positions. So if all the girls, there is a leaky pipeline. So there is a pipe which has to flow, and if it doesn't flow, there is a leakage. And what is that leakage? Several women who got this work, they are not actually continued till they reach the ladder of the promotion. Many a time, you must have heard also, women forego their promotion to the highest position, because many of them are transferable job, and if they are to be transferred, they must have got promoted as deputy collector, or must have got as the group 1 officer, etc. Or in the bank, they'll be offering from a branch manager to the regional office head, etc. But the members of the family, they say that it is going to be affecting their what I should say, if they do not participate in the decision making positions, or if they forego the promotion, there is a kind of a leaky pipeline. The pipeline will not flow. So decision making position, which the party, whether it is politics or in leadership positions or whatever, they are not found in equal number as men. Hardly any 10% of the women or 20% of the women are there in the decision making positions, and that too not the top level. So for put together all these areas where gender inequality is not actually happening, I don't say that it is not developing or progressing, but gender equality means 50% boys, 50% girls, 50% men, 50% male, and leave alone some 5% standard error there. It is likely that you must have given up asking those questions or asking for those data. But even in this 90-95%, they are not all homogeneous, quote unquote. So women are drawn from different stages. So the problem of women of middle class like me may not be the same as problem of a woman there in the lower income groups. Similarly, the problem of an Hindu woman may not be the same like a problem of the or issue of the or challenges of the mainstream Islamic women or whatever. So there is a difference in terms of age, in terms of gender, in terms of religion, region, and income groups. That is what we call class. A woman without work, a woman with permanent work. There are differences, and religion also. So these are various institutions which are really playing a role in determining the gender inequality status that is required by the women and men in the society. And of course, now we have the whole spectrum of LGBTQIA plus, that is lesbian, gay, bisexual, um, queer, transgender, etc. And intersex also. That's a IQA. So intersex cures. So there are certain categories where they just confine to the people who are comfortable. Because many a time you may say that, okay, you don't own big. Begging is one of the activities. Sex work is also one of the activities of these. We call in Tamil Tirunangigal. And but still they are not able to. But still, yesterday we read in the paper that they are going to also give some reservation for this transgender. So now it is more of inclusivity is happening in every sector. But what is not happening for the past 20 years or 30 years or so is the reservation, which we are asking for 33% reservations, so that more women will be there in the parliament. But the response given by the authorities in various places, that like if you are offering support system for these women, and the men only will rule, not the women. That is true to a certain extent, because today even there was a program with women councillors, elected councillors. We were inviting to interact with the sanitary workers, sanitation workers, and the interaction started, but nobody were able to start up. So if the educated women, employed women are not opening up, how can you expect the less educated women or no women who did not get educated at all? So these 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of differences continue to persist, and it is also contributing towards the kind of inequalities prevailing in the society. So what is to happen is that the 33% reservation in the parliament, and the same 33% reservation or 33% women should be there in each party, because the moment the party brings representation of more women as per the law to 37, whatever the equivalent percentage, then where will they go? Who will be taking care of that? So it is our duty, of course, in being women and also being women studies, to provide gender segregated data, so that there won't be a much issue to discuss in terms of the discrimination or discrepancy, etc. And above all, what I'm trying to conclude saying that it is the manifestation. So many things I have pointed out, that right from the very beginning of what I should say, female infanticide, female feticide too. Now, participation in politics and decision making, there are inequalities prevailing, and one by one has to be addressed only through change in the attitude, change in the value system, change in the perception about men and women, both with the men and the women. It is not that men alone or women alone, both of them should change, and accordingly gender equality could be ensured. Without bringing any value change, without ensuring a qualitative development that is to take place in terms of behavioral change, in terms of value, attitudinal change and mindset, accepting men and women as equal. That's what I mean, the mindset. It is difficult to address the issues of the equality or ensuring equality in the society. So try to work towards that, so that you will succeed in ensuring equality in the society, so that it is possible to ensure sustainable future for tomorrow. So with this, I stop. If you have any clarifications to make, please do ask, so that I'll be here for 5 more minutes, as I have to also rush to another meeting, and then I'll respond to your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for that very interesting and informative talk. We have gained more information from your presentation. Participants, if you are having any queries, you can ask now.
Ma'am, good evening. Ma'am, good evening, ma'am. I am Dr. Irene. Ma'am, there is one question. Is there any difference between gender equity and women's empowerment, ma'am?
Yes. Gender equity is the concept where it is a distribution of fair distribution of resources and opportunities equally to everyone, taking care of the needs of every individual. For instance, the toilet facilities required by girls will be different, for boys it will be different. So you have to take care of the requirements of specific gender and then provide the facilities. Similarly, you are giving opportunities for different categories of people. So scholarship is being given to scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, because they had been historically been disadvantaged. And therefore, they have to be given reservation. Like I was talking about that 3% reservation for the political participation of women, because they are coming to public life only recently. And therefore, they have to be given that. So this is what the equity. Equity will be leading you to equality. Equality will be leading you to empowerment. So empowerment is the third stage. Equity is the first stage.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Good evening, ma'am. This is Professor Magarani. Ma'am, I have one question. Ma'am, how to tackle the person who is underestimate the woman? Can you hear, ma'am?
Yes, I could hear you. Only the only thing I have concluded saying is to re-socialize the children towards equality. Okay, it is we have socialized such that women are subordinate, women are secondary citizens. So we have to unearth these things in the coming generation and forthcoming generation, so that you will ensure equality, and therefore there won't be any kind of issues of tackling these issues. Okay.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, do you think that still the empowerment is completely utilized by the women? Ma'am?
Community based?
They are utilizing, ma'am, the empowerment completely. It is utilized by the women.
No. Empowerment can be both for men and women. Why we are talking about women? Because it is women are in the secondary position. That is the reason why. Otherwise, it is equally applicable to for men. Whoever is in the subordinate position are supposed to be empowered. Okay.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Helen, நான் கிளம்பிட்டீங்களா உங்களுக்கு? I told you, no, that I have to push up to.
Yes, ma'am. We'll wind up now.
Yeah.
Ponmani, just take
Yes.
over the session.
Good evening to one and all present here. I would like to express
Wait, I'm
my
long.
gratitude to all esteemed delegates of the webinar for their presence and contribution to make this webinar a great success on behalf of Sri Abirami College of Nursing and our presenter. Thank you all.